Welcome to the main series of the channel. So, January albums, baby. What are the January albums? Oh, Swagway, please tell me the January albums. So, the January albums are In Rainbows by Radiohead, Bottomless Pit by Def Grips, Control by SZA, Bon Iver by Bon Iver, Ambient 1, Music for Airports by Brian Eno. I think Eno. In the Aeroplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel. Is This It by The Strokes. And the last one is Moon Safari by Air. So let me start off by saying I really liked all the albums. There was not a single album I disliked. Of course, all the albums were so different, so it was really hard to rank them, but I did it anyways. I ranked them based on my personal enjoyment, and because I'm like a pretty critical listener, production does matter to me, the mixing does matter, but it's mostly based off personal enjoyment. Okay, let's start off with Ambient 1, Music for Airports by Brian Eno. I put this at number 8 because I didn't listen to it that much. I think it is a great album, the ambient genre, pretty interesting story. Okay, I'm gonna just tell you right now. So after Brian Eno, the artist, he was like a really popular pop/electronic artist. He used to produce a lot of music, and after spending a few hours in the Cologne airport in Germany, he became very annoyed and uninspired by the atmosphere there. It was so hectic and anxiety-inducing. So he decided to create an album designed for airports. So he used continuous loops to make the sound and atmosphere less tense and anxious, which you can really hear. The album is super calming and perfect for background music. I love what happened to the ambient genre later, so, it was really great listening to the first ambient album. And it's really, really calming. I definitely recommend this album if you want to go for like a really chill walk or just enjoy the music in the background, where you don't have to really think about much stuff, so it's perfect for studying. If you enjoy mellow jazz, you will definitely enjoy this album. So at number 7, I have Bon Iver, the self-titled album. It's an indie folk mesh. I don't have much to say about it. I like the soundscape, and I think the singing was super emotional. Like, it got me in my feels. It was a bit sad, and I didn't really feel that sad this month, so sad albums don't have a very high ranking. I enjoyed it only slightly more than Ambient 1, but I do recommend to check out Bon Iver. Not particularly this album. I listened to For Emma forever ago, and I think it's much better. It just sounded more emotional, more personal. This one it lacked personality in my opinion. So at number 6, we have SZA's Control. Very, very controversial pick. Album is a bit overhyped. I think it's a great album to start listening to albums. It requires just enough patience, and it sounds great once it clicks. Most albums are like that, so I would start off with an album like this, and not with an album that instantly clicks for you, because, then you don't get to enjoy the other albums as much. Why? Because it doesn't click at first. Most albums don't do, like most good albums. So yeah, it's a pretty good album to start off your album listening adventure. But yeah, it's like an emotionally packed R&B album. It's about love, infidelity, life, and of course, Control. That's the title. It is a good album, but I think it's just overhyped. People like comparing it to Blonde, which no, it's not that good. Maybe it's just me. It's still a great album. You should definitely listen to it if you're like into hip-hop/R&B. So at number 5, we have Moon Safari. This is an ambient pop album. Also, I don't have much to say. Just add it to your library. It's really like a feel-good album. It's perfect if you like listen to it on a beautiful day. You go outside for a walk. Put this shit on, right? It will make your walk 1,000 times better. Really, it makes you feel so good. Such good vibes coming from this album. It's so simple. Just definitely give it a listen. It will just give you a little extra happiness boost. Don't listen to it when you're sad. It won't sound good, but definitely give it a listen. So at number 4, we have also very controversial, sorry Radiohead fans, In Rainbows.
Yep, already.
So the album was just great. I loved it, but as I already said, I wasn't that sad this month. And you know, Radiohead albums are pretty sad, especially this one. It was emotionally packed. The first two songs sort of like, yeah, that's like rock, and then it's just ballads and just beautiful, beautiful sounds. It's like really comforting, and I also love the story behind the album. You know what? I will probably make another video just for this album, and then I'm gonna tell you the story about it. Yeah. I really liked it. It was super creative, and I think it's a must listen if you're like a music nerd or really into music. It did take some time to click for me though, but when it did, damn, it was good. It was really, really good. Okay, so at top 3 we have In the Aeroplane Over the Sea. So I did make some last minute changes, like in Rainbows, it was higher up, and the same was with Aeroplane Over the Sea. It was higher up, but then I listened to the other two albums a little bit more, and I just realized I enjoyed them much more than The Aeroplane Over the Sea and in Rainbows. So in The Aeroplane Over the Sea, I think this is a super creative album. I completely loved it. I think it's hit or miss for people. Either you love it or you will despise it. I don't think there's an in-between. No, yeah, it just so happened that I love this album because, you know, I love creativity. I love creative albums. That's why I also really like experimental albums. It's just the creativity. I really like that it sounds so nostalgic. It just sounds perfect in such a weird way. Imperfect, but that imperfection makes it perfect. If you like indie albums, the indie sound, I think you'll probably like this album. I don't know if I should tell you about what this album exactly is. I'm just gonna say it's like a romantic album about being in love with a historical figure. I don't want to say who it is. I guess I'll just let it figure out for yourself. It's only a must listen if you're a music nerd, but if you're interested, 100% give it a try. You know what, just to make people more interested to the album, listen to this shit.
And one day we will die, and our ashes will fly from the aeroplane over the sea.
Okay, so at number 2 we have Is This It? Originally my top 4, but then I listened to it more and more, and it just sounds so good. Makes you feel good. All the songs are so good, every single one. I don't care if you don't enjoy rock, just listen to this album. Please add it to your library now. A little sample, a little sample, okay?
Stop and go.
Boom, that's enough. Okay, now listen to it. Listen to this shit. It's good. I don't care if you don't like rock. I don't care if you only listen to hip hop. Listen to this. Expand your fucking music taste. That's why I'm making these videos. So at number 1, and please don't call me an Anthony Fantano fan or something. I don't really like Anthony Fantano, but I mean Def Grips. Pretty much started listening to Def Grip because of him. But yeah, Bottomless Pit.
Oh no, they panic like rabbits, microphone, these about to oh no.
It's just so creative. What can I say? I'm a sucker for experimental albums. And, you know, Def Grips just breaks boundaries of music. It's like, I don't know how to say this, but it's so good. It's just so good. Like, I remember when I started listening to Def Grips at first, like, was like couple months ago, maybe like 6 months ago already. And I tried to get into the Money Store. It was so hard. Damn, this sounds like random noises. How do people enjoy this? And I just listened to it and listened to it. Like, after a month, it just clicked, and it was like, damn, this is music. This is not just random noises. This is fucking good. Like, you don't expect, and I think everybody should try to listen to Def Grips. It's just, they're breaking boundaries of music. They're just so different. You probably never heard anything like that. And I get it if you don't like it at first, and I get it if you don't like it even after like 10 listens. But if you want to start with Def Grips, I would definitely recommend the song Hacker. I think it's like the easiest song to get into from them. And of course the album The Money Store. If you want to listen to the albums, start with The Money Store. The only problem is it's still very experimental and you'll probably don't like, but after you like it, you're just addicted. And now let's get back to the Bottomless Pit, okay? Bottomless Pit is just miles better than Money Store, in my opinion, okay? I know Money Store is like the first, not really the first album. Yeah, it is the first album because Ex-Military was like just an no, how do you call it, a mixtape. So the Money Store broke boundaries, you know, and that's why a lot of people like it. But Bottomless Pit is just so much better in my opinion. The songs are catchier, it's the production is much better. Of course, they had like 4 years, I think, to perfect their sound, and yeah, it just sounds so good. Every single one of the songs are just so good, all bangers. And you know, I'm gonna try to get a sample, okay, and hopefully you'll like it. Hopefully, or maybe you'll get interested. Just, you know, I don't know. I think the album's so good. I think, yeah, just try to get into it. Try, man. But if you don't want to, I understand. It's hard. It's difficult to get into new music, especially experimental music. And just, you know, Def Grips is just like super experimental. But you know, here's a sample. Try it.
I stick up on me, I set my shot, my body through. Oh, baby, poison. Oh, baby, poison. Oh, baby, poison. Oh, baby, baby. Oh, baby, baby. I stick up on me, I.
Okay, so that was it for January albums. I hope you enjoyed my commentary, my opinions on them. If you think I'm wrong, definitely go into the comments. But you know me, I cannot be wrong because I am perfect. Yeah, ego. So now February albums. So February albums are 1999 by Joey Badass. Whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not. Arctic Monkeys. At Long Last ASAP Rocky. 98.12.28 Fishmans. Melodrama Lord. Currents Tame Impala. The Dark Side of the Moon Pink Floyd. And the last one is Run the Jewels 2 by Run the Jewels. Okay, so I hope to see you next month, maybe even earlier. Maybe I'll find some content, easy content that I can do earlier. See you next time. Thank you for watching.